And then there was this moment. It was like the eye-opening moment where my eyes were closed and I had this sensation of not being able to really feel my body. And my eyes were closed, but I could still hear things. The only way I can describe it is it just felt like my soul or like my astral body was disconnecting from like my physical body.
The following video does not glorify drug use, but instead it intends to promote harm reduction by discouraging the ignorant use of specific drugs, as well as harm elimination by discouraging certain people from using specific drugs altogether. There is no right or wrong way to consume these substances, but there are unsafe and safer ways, and what's more comfortable for one person may be more dangerous for another. Before watching this video, please understand that psychedelic experiences may not be entirely predictable, but that doesn't mean that bad trips and good trips are random. Rather, it means psychedelic experiences are influenced by factors such as the individual's given setting, and dosage at that specific point in their life. Therefore, you will not experience what these people have experienced, but you could potentially experience something similar. However, these are random people, so please do not make decisions based on what they say without your own due diligence. And also, take note, once again, that these substances affect everyone differently, especially those with pre-existing mental conditions.
This was in December of 2021, and I took 1.2 grams of dried mushrooms, and I was in my room by myself. And I usually feel the come-up anxiety in the beginning. That's kind of like always a thing for me, and it usually feels like being squeezed and restricted, but it usually always goes away once the peak hits. But usually when I trip, I like to listen to some nice music while I'm coming up and have the lights real low and just be comfy like on my couch. But this time, I decided to turn on Jimi Hendrix, and I just danced a lot, probably for like an hour or more. And it felt like I was at like a concert, and I was like feeling the energy around, feeling the energy of like this crowd. Like I had my eyes closed, and I was just envisioning like a giant crowd around me. And then I closed my eyes. I got back onto my couch after I was like dancing and stuff. I closed my eyes, and I started like astral projecting a little bit. But this was the first time I had felt any of this sensation. But I could feel like a headache coming on. And I could feel the cramp in my head. And I focused on making it go away. Like, I just put like all of my focus onto like that cramp in my head. And I was able to like control like the pain that I was feeling. And I could feel myself controlling the temperature of my body. And I could feel myself like, if I thought of like the hot desert, I'd feel really like hot and sweaty. And then when I would think of like the Arctic, I was like shivering and like really cold. But I actually focused on my headache enough where it completely just like went away within like seconds. And then there was this moment. It was like the eye-opening moment where my eyes were closed and I had this sensation of not being able to really feel my body. And my eyes were closed, but I could still hear things. The only way I can describe it is it just felt like my soul or like my astral body was disconnecting from like my physical body. And, I had insane visuals with my eyes closed. And I saw like a bunch of like daggers and blood and caution tape and like really scary like screaming noises. It kind of looked like what somebody might describe as like hell. But I kind of had to like push past all of that. I just kind of like went forward into that mess, and I just kind of like pushed it all out of the way. And then it was like blue skies from then on in. I went to like this giant like white space. It wasn't really a room. It was just like a giant, like everything was white around me, and I was like floating kind of. And then I saw a ton of filing cabinets. And I went up to them, and they were all labeled with different parts of me. So, like, every feeling I had felt, my childhood memories, every color that I like, all the foods that I like, all that, like, all the information that creates me was, like, in those filing cabinets. And this was kind of a transformative trip for me because I came to the section of the filing cabinets with all of my problems, like all of my stressors, all of my worries, my anxiety, depression, like all of the mistakes I had made, like all of that stuff that I viewed as like bad and negative. I just looked at them, and it was such a small section of all of the other filing cabinets that I just didn't feel like they mattered that much to me. in that moment. And I was kind of able to view myself more from the perspective of the other filing cabinet, like the food I like, or the music I like, or my personality kind of thing. It was kind of like the stressors and the negative, or the filing cabinets that I perceived as negative didn't really matter that much to me. So I'm trying to think of how exactly that affected me after the trip. I think it gave me a sense of like, I don't need to like hyper focus on the parts of me that I don't really like that much. I can focus on the things that, bring me happiness and bring me excitement and bring me joy, instead of like the negative things about myself. And I think that was like the first experience where I felt my body kind of, or my soul like detaching from my body. What else did I do? I'm kind of like recalling these memories from, I have like a notes folder that I write them down in, because I don't remember everyone detail by detail. I think actually that was it for that trip there. But I just remember like feeling like I had found the key, because I had heard so many people talking about expanding their consciousness and like exploring their consciousness, and I didn't know how to do it. And then once I felt that feeling, I just remember feeling like, oh my God, I did it. I'm doing it. I'm doing what everybody else does, like exploring my consciousness. And I just got very excited for myself. And I think I just kind of like opened my eyes once the mushrooms just kind of like started to wear off. I felt very tired after. And I think I just passed out after. I just like went to sleep. But that was like the first experience with the astral projecting, I think, for me.
What was your intentions going into that experience?
I don't really remember. There was a time when I was tripping every weekend because it was kind of like an escape. So I don't know if that was one of the times where I was trying to like escape this reality and like be in like the reality in like my head or like wherever else, it was. But I still had a good time. I danced a lot, and I learned a few lessons from that. But I don't think I had any intentions going into it.
What were some long-term effects that you received from that experience, or any changes in your perspective or anything?
I think the biggest thing was feeling the sensation of my soul detaching from my physical body. I think that was the biggest thing. Like once I felt that, I was like, whoa, there is more to this life that we don't know about, and it just happened in my head. Or I could see everything, not everything, but like I just felt this sensation that there was more that we don't know about. With the astral projecting and feeling that disconnection from my physical body, that's when I couldn't stop like researching. I just researched and researched and researched about psychedelics and exploring your mind and your consciousness and using mushrooms and psychedelics as a form of like medicine and healing, and learning about all of that kind of stuff. So that, I think, was the biggest way that trip impacted me, because it was the first experience that I felt that soul and body disconnection.